Exposing religious freedom violators worldwide. The United States Commission on International Religious Freedom has just released its 2023 report listing the countries of particular concern and those to keep an eye on. So what have they discovered? Anything new to report this year? Well, joining us is USCIRF Vice Chair Rabbi Abraham Cooper. Rabbi Cooper, it's good to talk with you again. So overall, do we see religious freedom improvements worldwide or violations of this God-given right increasing?
The violations are increasing. The threats and detentions and worse are increasing worldwide. This is a very difficult time for religious freedom all over the globe. The core right has to be freedom of religion. If you don't have that, then chances are you're in a nation in which overall freedoms, the people who don't even believe, are going to be under assault as well.
Well, let's look at a few countries, additional ones that the Commission feels are of particular concern. You draw special attention to Iran, and even you put a photo of a young female Iranian protester on the cover of this report. So tell us more, why the special emphasis on Iran this year?
Well, the situation in Iran today, I think, is so shocking in the following sense, that I don't believe that any quote-unquote expert anticipated there would be sustained protests against a hated regime that controls every aspect of life, led by women. And so religious freedom also means that you have the right not to wear your head covering. Religious freedom means that you can be a Christian and not have to worry about being rounded up. That if you're a member of the Baha'i group, you're already a targeted group as being blasphemers, and whenever convenient, unfortunately, leadership of the Baha'i are maltreated. You have a situation for the tiny Jewish minority that's left, that in the final day of Passover, there was going to be a march in Tehran that the government wanted that would be anti-Israel. And they basically said, to the Jewish community, you should probably close your synagogue that day and join the march. And the rest was, perfectly understood. So nonetheless, the reason for the picture of a young woman on the cover, it's also a reminder to all of us that when you're able to put a human face on repression, on the struggle for personal freedom and expression and religious rights, that can be a game changer, especially in the world we live in today that's so dominated by social media.
Well, you've also added Sri Lanka to the watch list this year. You already mentioned Cuba and Nicaragua. They're listed as countries of particular concern. That's new. So tell us why.
You have the targeting of religious minorities in which, because they are in a minority situation, whatever the goal of the government might be, whether it's territorial or whether it's moving away from basic democratic values, it puts people in harm's way. And of course, when you think about Sri Lanka, remember, Gary, it wasn't so long ago, I think, on an Easter morning, right, where there were multiple attacks by terrorists, including at Christians at worship. And we would urge everyone to go to the USCRIF website and read all these reports. They're important because the leveraging, and we still have both the moral and economic, political, and geopolitical might to impact on decisions around the world.
Well, and you had mentioned it isn't just the Christians we're talking about here. Many people of minority faiths also suffer oppression. You mentioned the Uyghurs, and you're a well-known, highly respected Jewish rabbi. So how about anti-Semitism? We know it's increasing in the United States and Europe, but where are Jews suffering the worst treatment? You mentioned Iran, but where else?
Well, I would say that unfortunately right now, when we look at the situation in Europe, where you have historic Jewish communities, some of them the remnants of the Holocaust era. When you think about the streets of Berlin, of Paris, of London, we're in a situation right now in the UK in which the British police don't do very much except count incidents after they happen And particularly in these locations, there's a targeting of people who look Jewish. That means they can be wearing the kippah that I have, or may have a longer beard, side locks. The women will cover their hair and dress in a very modest way. You have these serial attacks by thugs in London that are only reported essentially by activists within the Jewish community and very rarely bring about arrests and actions against them. So you have also a situation in Scandinavia, but also in Belgium and other European countries where core religious values to Jews, and by the way, also to Muslims, where you have the banning, what we call shechita, of religious rules that are followed for the slaughter of animals in European countries that are banned. Another area of growing concern is what's called transnational non-state players. So probably the most dangerous place in the world today for Christians is Nigeria, a country that I visited with my good friend, Pastor Johnny Moore. We wrote a book called The Next Jihad, based on it, in which you have situations where religious leaders are burned to death, where you have Fulani tribesmen coming in and destroying villages, where you also have impact from non-state terrorist groups that are influencing events.
And our U.S. State Department still does not place Nigeria on the watch list.
It is the most infuriating non-development. We need something special to help Nigeria help itself. Nigeria belongs on that list, and they need to take the type of steps to secure the safety and well-being of Christians and certain segments of the Muslim population to be safe. That is the original, most important human right of all, is to have human life. And another area of concern for us, it should be for every American citizen, whether you're a believer or not, is the use of advanced technology and facial recognition by Communist China's leader, President Xi. I was at a prayer vigil at the University of Southern California run by Chinese students some months ago. And almost every one of them had their entire faces covered, not because of COVID, but because they knew some of the people in the audience were sending back live feeds back to Beijing. So the challenges are many. If this is an area that the U.S. also pulls back from, then I'm afraid that next year's report will even be more grim.
Okay, United States Commission on International Religious Freedom Vice Chair, Rabbi Abraham Cooper. Thank you, Rabbi, for joining us. We appreciate you.
God bless. We'll see you soon, Gary.
God bless you.